I was going to do this in a short, but there isn't enough time in a short to go through this. So this 65 plate Insignia has the later engine in it, which is I think it's a B20DTH, not the A20DTH, which is the newer style engine. It also has the F40, but it's the second generation, so it's like FQ40/2, generation 2. Now this vehicle has done almost 80,000, and that is the state of the gearbox oil. As you can see, it's very dark. It's very dark. Doesn't look very good at all. Now this has a code in the ECU for the torque converter clutch solenoid stuck off. It's an intermittent fault that sort of comes and goes. Now the fault itself, so what it relates to is the computer monitors the speed of the engine and the speed of the gearbox, and what it does is it looks for the difference between the input speed and the output speed. Now obviously the torque converter doesn't lock up until you're going at highway speeds, and then what it does is it uses the torque converter clutch to lock the input and output effectively together so that you have no slip. The idea is that it improves fuel economy, lowers the engine RPM, so makes it more efficient. It's been used in gearboxes for years and years and years. However, this one does have a technical service bulletin, which isn't on auto data. I know, I've looked. Auto data is incredibly useless. They don't even lift wiring diagrams for it, for God's sake. So there's no wiring diagrams for this engine or gearbox or anything on auto data. But I know a man at Vauxhall, I spoke to him. He said this gearbox does have a technical service bulletin for that shift solenoid wearing the bore inside the valve body, causing this issue. Now that valve body is £1,175 plus VAT, just for the valve body, and there is a £350 surcharge on the old unit. Obviously I'd have to take it out to inspect it. Now this fault code is semi-persistent. It's happened all of twice in the last month or so. The code is stored, but it sort of happens and then it stops. So the solenoid sticks and then it releases. Now it is a long shot, as this the TSB is for vehicles that have done over 60,000, and this has done over 60,000. It is a long shot to replace the gearbox oil in some ways, but unless we ensure that the oil level is A, correct, and B, in good condition, we can't say whether that is a problem or not. And not only that, even if this has to have a new valve body in it, you don't want that old gunk running around it. So what we need to do, phone calls, anybody would think I was trying to run a business. So where was I? So yeah, so we need to change this oil. Now the problem with draining the oil in an automatic box such as this is there's two issues. Number one, that oil's really bad. Number two, you'll never get it out. The gearbox holds 7 litres, but that's gearbox, torque converter, everything. I will be lucky to drain 3 litres of that out a time. So what I'm going to have to do is I've ordered 10 litres of oil. I'm going to drain the oil as much as I can. Then I'm going to fill the gearbox back up. So if you don't know, I'll just tell you while we're here. The way this works, you take out, let's put the light so that we can actually see what we're doing. So what you do is you take out this centre bung, which allows you access to the main Allen bolt in there. So you take out this Torx bit, and that is actually the level. Okay, so you take that one out, then you undo this one. Now oil will drain out as soon as you take this one out. The reason is because it's not running. So what I'm going to do is start it, allow the gearbox to warm up because it will drain better, obviously when it's warm. Then I will pull this plug, and then I will pull this main plug, and I will let as much oil drain out as I can let drain out. Then I'll put this larger plug back in. Then you have to basically pump oil up into the gearbox. Now what I do is I measure the amount of oil I get out. That way I've got an idea how much to put back in. Then what you do is you start it up, and then you let the gearbox get up to operating temperature. The gearbox. Obviously the engine will probably be at operating temperature by that point, but it's the gearbox that needs to be at operating temperature. There is actually a temperature range they gave you on the original box. I think it was, what was it? It was about 40 to 60 degrees, somewhere around there for the operating temperature of the box. And then what you do is you then pop this one back out, and that will then set with the engine running, and then that sets the level inside the box. So what we will do is we'll drain out as much as we can get. Once we've drained it, we will then look at the oil, the condition of it, you know, refill it with the same amount of oil, warm it up. We will then check the level to see if it was low, if it has actually lost oil. There's no leaks anywhere, so I doubt it's lost any oil, but you never know. So we'll check the level and make sure that the level was okay. Then once it's warmed up and it's nice and hot again, then I'm going to drain it again, and then refill it again, do the same process. And after I've done that twice, I've ordered, I mean, the gearbox oil's 35 quid. So it's not mega money, 35 quid for 5 litres. It holds 7. This gearbox holds 7 all in. Like I say, I will probably get 3 out a go. So if I get 3 out each time, I will do 3 exchanges of gearbox oil, which will flush out probably 70 to 80% of that fluid. We will then clear the fault code and see how it goes. If it reappears, then we're going to have to go into the gearbox and try and find if there's a fault with the bore, or if the solenoid itself's faulty, and maybe replace the whole valve body. But we'll do this first, because even if we have to replace the valve body, I'd still want to do this anyway, because I wouldn't want that running around, well, what's going to end up a nearly £2,000 valve body. Alright, well, I just thought I'd share all that information I'd learned, because there's not much on these newer Insignias and these gearboxes. Like I say, the auto data is basically useless. Like I say, there is a TSB for vehicles like this over 60,000 wearing that bore. So if you've got a newer Vauxhall Insignia 16 plate with an automatic gearbox, you might want to consider getting that oil changed. My standard parts manufacturer, they've managed to find out what oil it is. I may even do a little short on changing it and just let you know what oil is supposed to go in that box, or put it in the thing down below, so that you know, because Vauxhall, I could order it from Vauxhall, but it's £14.75 a litre, and they've got 3 litres, but it's on back order for however long, so they've only got 3 litres, which I could do one exchange of that, but that's not very useful. in this situation. So yeah, and hope everybody's had a nice look around at the new shop. I also epoxied my floor. Don't know if it'll stick, don't know if it'll stay, but we will find out. If it does stick, excuse me, and again, excuse me, if it does stick, I might actually do the whole lot. Stay tuned for that. It's going to be a lot of work. Right, but there you go, Vauxhall Insignia with the newer Type 2 gearbox. It is serviceable. There is a problem, over 60,000 miles of the bore wearing. If you've got one of these, change the gearbox oil as soon as you can. Try to help that gearbox from wearing inside, because it is going to be an expensive job to get it fixed. Thanks for watching. See you next time.